Chapter 37, The City Never Sleeps. As night fell over London, the city's skyline flickered with neon and amber glows, painting the dark horizon in fragmented light. Zeus moved silently through the urban landscape, vaulting effortlessly from rooftop to rooftop. His cape rippled behind him like a phantom's whisper, his silhouette weaving seamlessly with the shadows. Though the metropolis buzzed in the distance, sirens, music, the hum of air cars, and the murmur of late-night conversations, his mind was unusually clear, focused, yet unburdened. Apollo's voice broke the tranquil rhythm, his tone inquisitive but measured. "Sir, could Ms. Pankhurst's return be responsible for your current psychological state? Your stress levels have decreased, and emotional stability has noticeably improved." Landing gracefully on the flat rooftop of an apartment complex, Zeus straightened and exhaled, scanning the cityscape. "Oh, you bet it is, Apollo," he said with a rare softness in his voice. "Now that she's back, I don't feel so alone anymore. I love my friends, Connor, Anne, and James, but Aunt Susie, she's always been different. She brings this calm with her. When she's around, the world doesn't feel so heavy." He took a moment to lean against the rooftop railing, his gaze falling to the streets below. "She used to tell me these wild stories about her travels, everywhere from post-quake Tokyo to the rebuilt ruins of Athens. Her curiosity was relentless, and through her, I saw the world rise again after the Grand War. She taught me more about hope and resilience than school ever did. In fact," his tone soured slightly, "I learnt fuck all in school." Apollo responded with clinical curiosity. "You once mentioned to Captain Rhodes that Ms. Pankhurst also trained you in combat." Zeus nodded, flexing his fingers absently as though recalling muscle memory. "Yeah. Susan didn't just teach me how to throw punches. She taught me how to read an opponent. She showed me how to control my breathing, how to ground my stance, when to strike and hold back. It's because of her that I learn Toso Kune Do. This fighting style blends elements of Muay Thai, Judo, and Karate. Her skill set is ridiculous. She didn't learn that from a dojo. She picked it up from survivalists, ex-soldiers, underground fighters, and even monks she met in the East. She gave me the foundation. Uncle William gave me the tools. Captain Rhodes is helping me sharpen them. But Susan, she gave me the fire." He looked down again, watching the slow pulse of life in the city streets, late-night cafes, patrol drones gliding through alleys, and a stray busker playing old war-era tunes on a harmonica. "And I need that fire now, more than ever. The Black Death is crawling through this city like a cancer. Thanatos is still out there. I don't know when the next hit will come, but I'll be ready. Because she's back, and that makes me stronger." Zeus crouched on the edge of a weather-worn rooftop, surveying the vibrant nightlife of Whitechapel as it pulsed beneath him. The district, once infamous for its dark history, now thrummed with electric energy. Neon lights shimmered in every direction, casting shifting hues of pink, blue, and gold across the pavements like brushstrokes from a futuristic painter. Below, the streets bustled with life. Laughter and chatter rose up in fragments, blending with the low tones of music from open bars and the occasional screech of tires. But Zeus wasn't here for the ambience. He remained still, a silent sentinel in the shadows, watching, waiting for a crime to reveal itself. His eyes were drawn to a glowing sign across the road, Neon Noodle. The popular late-night noodle bar buzzed with activity. The wide, steamy windows revealed patrons chatting animatedly over bowls of udon and miso ramen. Some sat alone, headphones in, eyes fixed on screens. Others were in groups, their chopsticks clashing playfully as they reached for shared dishes. Near the front, a small queue had formed, impatient customers waiting to collect their takeaway orders. Even from this distance, Zeus could practically smell it. The sharp tang of chili oil, the umami depth of soy and broth, and the sizzle of meat searing on hot pans. It was oddly comforting, the kind of scene that made the city feel alive, worth fighting for. Suddenly, a flash of motion caught his eye. A sleek, Speedy Saver delivery scooter glided up to the curb. The rider, a lean figure clad in a bright, reflective jacket with glowing trims, vaulted off with smooth efficiency. Within seconds, they retrieved a thermal delivery box from the counter window, nodded to the staff, and hopped onto their mophead, a hover-like, high-speed courier board designed for zipping between lanes and over curbs. The rider disappeared into the night in a blur of light, weaving through the traffic with almost reckless grace. Their trail left a faint shimmer behind them like heat haze in the summer. Zeus watched, quietly admiring the efficiency. As Zeus continued to survey the lively streets of Whitechapel from his rooftop perch, his sharp gaze locked onto a commotion unfolding on the pavement below. A pedicab driver and a red-faced man engaged in a heated argument. The scene was all too familiar. Disputes like this were a near-daily occurrence in London's busy nightlife districts, especially where tourists and unsuspecting locals mixed. Zeus narrowed his eyes beneath his visor as the man's voice rose over the din of the street. 350 quid for a ride from Spitalfields to Whitechapel? The man shouted incredulously. That's daylight robbery. The pedicab driver, calm and entirely unbothered, leaned back in his seat with a shrug. City rate, mate. You wanted the scenic route. Zeus scoffed quietly to himself. Scenic route, my arse. He knew the type. Unregulated, opportunistic, and always ready to fleece a drunk reveller or unsuspecting tourist. Pedicabs had long held a notorious reputation in London, operating outside the same scrutiny as proper taxi services. Most savvy Londoners avoided them altogether, preferring city rush cabs, which still used real human drivers and tracked fares transparently. The autocabs, meanwhile, sleek and driverless, were faster but carried their own controversies. From AI bias to unpredictable rerouting during traffic surges. Zeus continued watching the exchange. The man was clearly fuming, but not in immediate danger. The driver, meanwhile, wasn't threatening, just exploiting the grey areas of London's transport laws. It was irritating, sure, but not criminal, not tonight. With a flick of his visor, Zeus zoomed out slightly, scanning for more serious activity. Let the man argue his way through it, he thought. Maybe next time he'll just walk or check the fare in advance. It wasn't worth descending for. Scams like that were part of the city's pulse, just another note in London's chaotic symphony. Annoying, yes, but not his fight. Moments later, Zeus received a video call from an unknown number. He instinctively moved away from the rooftop's edge to prevent detection from below, and as he answered, the glow from his visor dimmed slightly. The screen lit up to reveal Paul, seated aboard the Harpy, adjusting the scope on a sniper rifle with practiced precision. His expression was calm and focused, clearly a man preparing for action. "You all right there, Zeus?" Paul asked without looking up. "Paul?" Zeus blinked in mild surprise. "Is the captain with you?" Paul shook his head, checking the magazine of his weapon before slamming it into place. "She's off on a classified op. We've not been told much. Barry's in charge currently. He and I are about to launch a mission. Fancy joining in?" Zeus didn't hesitate. His jaw tightened beneath the helmet. "Fuck yeah, I'm in." Paul allowed himself the ghost of a smile and moved toward the Harpy's cockpit. "Where are you? I'll send you our location." Zeus glanced at his HUD. "Rooftops near Myrtle Street, Whitechapel, keeping watch." "Copy that," Paul replied. "We're stationed at St. Catherine Docks. It shouldn't take you long to reach us with that powerful vehicle of yours." Zeus smirked under the visor. "Want me to grab anything from Neon Noodle on the way over?" Before Paul could answer, a voice piped in over the comms. "Artyom, the ever-hungry pilot. If they've got mushroom chow mein and some chicken rice, I'll take both." Paul chuckled, turning slightly. "He's winding you up, Artyom." A grumble came through the feed. "Still better than those bloody rations." Zeus laughed. "Next time I'll bring you a menu." "We'll hold you to that," Paul replied. "Anyway, see you soon. And Zeus?" "Yeah?" Paul's tone shifted, firm but appreciative. "It's good to have you with us." Zeus's voice was steady as he replied, "Can't wait." After ending the call, Zeus turned on his heel and sprinted back across the rooftops, his cape flickering in the wind like a shadow tethered to the skyline. Each leap was fluid, controlled, a rhythm born of endless training and raw instinct. The city blurred beneath him, a neon sprawl of movement and noise, but Zeus's focus was razor-sharp. He vaulted over a narrow gap, landing on the gravel-coated top of a derelict flat. One more jump brought him to the final building overlooking Gunthorpe Street. Below, nestled in the shadows of the alley, waited his Centaur 32X. The powerful bike stood untouched, its sleek black frame humming faintly with dormant energy. Zeus dropped from the rooftop, landing with a crouch beside it. He was unconcerned about security, as a paralyzing electrical shock would await anyone foolish enough to touch the bike without his DNA signature. One mugger near the bike had learnt that lesson the hard way. He was now lying on the ground, shaking in his own urine from the voltage. Zeus swung his leg over the saddle, grasping the handlebars with a practiced hand. As his fingers locked into place, the dashboard lit up with a low mechanical hum. The nanolinker synced instantly. "Destination, St. Catherine Docks," he muttered. The bike roared to life, its engines purring like a beast eager to run. With a twist of the throttle, Zeus launched forward, his tires screeching as he surged out of the alley and onto the neon-coloured streets. Zeus weaved through the morning traffic with razor-sharp precision, the thunderous growl of the Centaur 32X reverberating off the steel and glass facades around him. He moved like a phantom on wheels, slicing between cars with families inside, weaving past delivery vans, unloading fresh goods, and gliding around minicabs, ferrying passengers to night shift jobs, airport runs, or after-hours parties. The city flashed by in streaks of chrome and neon, a blur of urban life in motion. But Zeus's focus remained unshakable. Every twist of the throttle, every calculated lean into a corner, drew him closer to St. Catherine Docks. The mission ahead of him sparked a fire within him. He didn't care what the task was, whether it was intel recovery, sabotage, or a full-on breach. If it put him on a collision course with the Black Death, he was ready. Any chance to disrupt Thanatos' network, to tear away at the decay corrupting his city, was worth the risk. Before reaching the docks, something tugged at Zeus's mind, an itch he couldn't ignore. His voice cut through the roar of the engine. "Apollo, give me an update. What's everyone back at the mansion doing right now?" "Of course, sir," the AI replied promptly, his tone ever composed. A moment later, a translucent video feed flickered into life on Zeus's HUD, overlaying his vision without obstructing his line of sight. The screen split into multiple frames, each showing a different room within the mansion. Sleek surveillance footage streamed in real time, courtesy of the home's integrated security systems. The video feed on Zeus's HUD resolved into multiple panels, each one a snapshot of the quiet domestic life he'd temporarily left behind. In Anne's room, she danced with wild, unrestrained joy to a pulsing track by the Orphans, her favourite underground band, known for their rebellious, synth-laced sound. The song's distorted vocals and heavy bass echoed through her speaker system, turning her bedroom into a private concert. Her arms swept the air above her head, hair whipping around her face as she spun in rhythm, entirely lost in the moment. Her eyes were closed, lips moving silently to every lyric, as if she were the lead singer herself. Dressed in a loose tee and leggings, she looked more like a free spirit than the fiercely focused student everyone saw during class. What she didn't know was that far across the street and high on a neighbouring rooftop, Zeus had paused his patrol. Through his helmet's telescopic lens, he caught a glimpse of her silhouette dancing against the soft glow of her bedroom lights. Her joy was pure, untouched by the weight of the world outside. Zeus smirked behind the visor. "She's got good taste in music," he murmured to Apollo. The AI gave a non-committal hum, but Zeus had already looked away. This moment was hers, and he wouldn't disturb it. Downstairs in the living room, the enormous hollow TV bathed the living room in flashes of blue and silver as a high-octane international swimming championship played out in lifelike detail. James was sprawled, belly down on the rug, elbows propped up, chin resting in his hands like a football pundit watching a cup final. His eyes darted across the screen, following every stroke, every turn, every surge of power from the swimmers. That kick was off. Should have switched to dolphin strokes sooner. He muttered under his breath. He wasn't just watching, he was analysing. There was a quiet intensity about him, a mental stopwatch ticking behind those focused eyes. Meanwhile, just across from him, Connor had claimed the opposite sofa, legs curled under him like a coiled cat. He was engrossed in a volume of Blade School, Guts and Glory, a notoriously violent manga about a deceptively cute girl slicing her way through mutant monstrosities in a post-apocalyptic hellscape. The cover alone was madness. The protagonist midair with twin laser katanas, bisecting a creature that had more eyes than limbs. Blood and neon-coloured guts flew in every direction, panels practically vibrating with energy. Zeus, observing through the house's thermal overlays from his HUD, raised a brow beneath his helmet. "I'm sure he reads it for the plot, sir." Apollo deadpanned. Zeus chuckled. "Sure he does." In the kitchen, the comforting aroma of chive dumplings filled the air as May moved gracefully between the stove and the countertop, her motions fluid and deliberate. Susan, perched casually on a high stool near the breakfast bar, leaned forward with a sparkle in her eyes, sipping a steaming mug of herbal tea she had helped herself to. "You know," Susan said, setting the mug down with a soft clink, "I visited China just last year. Spent 3 weeks there, part work, part play, and I made sure I was there for the Lunar New Year festival. Absolutely breathtaking. The fireworks alone, you'd swear the stars had come down to party." May glanced at her, a flicker of genuine curiosity on her face. "Where did you go?" "Started in Shanghai. I loved the skyline, but it was too crowded for my taste. Then I spent some time in Chengdu for the Lantern Festival, but it was the countryside that stayed with me. I ended up in a small village in Yunnan, helping a local family set up a dragon dance. Can you believe they handed me the tail end of the costume? Apparently, foreigners are considered good luck." May's expression softened. "That's unusual. Most villages don't like strangers getting involved in traditions." Susan grinned. "I have a habit of winning people over. I brought wine and mooncakes." "That would do it," May said, cracking a faint smile as she carefully flipped a dumpling in the pan. There was a short pause as Susan leaned back, watching May cook with the focus of a seasoned chef. "You know, we should go together this year, celebrate the 2295th New Year festival properly. London's Chinatown does a pretty damn good job, but with your know-how, it'd be like bringing a piece of home to the party." May was taken aback by the offer. She didn't answer at first, instead reaching for the spice rack and sprinkling a dash of pepper into the pan. "It's been years since I properly celebrated. Since before Anne was born. Life became too busy." "That's exactly why we should do it," Susan replied softly, sensing the subtle tension in her. "You do so much for everyone else, May. It wouldn't hurt to take one day to just enjoy the music, the food, the lights. Maybe mingle with your own people again and actually feel like the woman you are. Not just the teacher or the housekeeper." May stirred the dumplings in silence, then finally looked up at Susan with an almost shy smile. "You're a very forward woman." "Guilty as charged," Susan said with a wink. "But I mean it. We'll make a day of it. Nick, Connor, Anne, and James. They'd love it. And I think you need it more than you realize." For a moment, the two women simply shared the quiet warmth of the kitchen, the hiss of dumplings, the scent of chives, and the hum of the mansion's ambient systems. In that gentle domestic moment, a new bond was forming between them. One built not just on shared responsibility, but mutual respect and womanhood lived with strength. May nodded at last. "All right, February 15th, I'll think about it." "I'll hold you to it," Susan replied, her grin unfading. "Now tell me, what's your secret ingredient in these dumplings? because my nose says heaven, and my stomach's about to start a revolution." Zeus then stopped watching the live feed. He couldn't help but smile beneath the helmet. Even with the weight of the world resting on his shoulders, knowing that the people he cared about were safe and even happy gave him strength.